strategies for speeding up and increasing return on investment in warehousing. My guest is Mike Weir. He is Managing Director of Microlistics. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Mike, would it be safe to say that we are in a state of permanent disruption in supply chains today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all know over the last few years the level of disruption that's been happening, to all parts of the supply chain, and we absolutely see that that's the new normal going forward. Those disruptions, we don't know in what form, but they're going to continue to come, and have a big impact on the supply chain. So we know that in particular it's going to have further demands onto the warehouse. The warehouse is just one part of that supply chain, but those demands from the business, from the supply chain onto the warehouse, are going to be coming thicker and faster than ever before, and we don't see that stopping anytime soon. So those warehouse operations really need to be ready to embrace that ongoing change.
We certainly have redefined in a very strange manner the word normal. In any case, though, how do we approach this whole issue of constant disruption and the need for constant change? Should our approach to changes in the warehouse, should it be evolutionary or should it be revolutionary?
Yeah, we absolutely think that organizations need to embrace a more evolutionary approach to change with more iteration and more flexibility in there. So it's really driven by that increased speed of change that's required in the operations now. So to get the speed to benefit, there really needs to be a flexibility and adaptability, rather than sort of a large scale, well planned, long drawn out change. These are traditionally things that are hard for a warehouse. But we find that warehouse operations are good at repetition and speed and getting something set in place and doing it very well. So change can be difficult for them. So I think it's another reason why the evolutionary change is more important. Make continuous, ongoing, smaller changes rather than trying to re-engineer a large scale.
Of course, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make these changes at a time when the warehouse is in operation. In very few cases can you just shut the whole thing down for weeks at a time while you put in a new system. So you're moving at 100 miles an hour and yet still putting in these changes. That's really interesting. Of course, this does involve quite a bit of investment. We have to be honest about that. How then do you keep your costs down? And then how do you accelerate time to benefit? You just mentioned that concept. How do you accelerate time to benefit from this investment?
There's certainly some strategies that can be adopted to help with that, and one that we highly recommend is people look to leverage templated solutions that are aligned to your business needs where you can, and that can really give you a way to more rapidly deploy rather than having very bespoke solutions that can be quite time consuming to deliver. We encourage people to look for configurability over customization when it comes to systems. We know the complexity and the risks that come with customization. So if you can find solutions anywhere in your logistics systems that are configurable, can be tweaked, it's a much better way to go. And really looking for advising people to implement for your needs for today, but at the same time trying to have a vision and be ready for tomorrow, but not tackling it all at once.
Yeah, but there's a lot of impatience among supply chain executives these days with regard to time to benefit, with regard to ROI. They're not going to sit around and wait for a year or two for the benefits to be realized. So you've got to somehow demonstrate those benefits pretty quickly, do you not, even as you implement these changes?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why the small iteration can become ever more important. So I think an interesting way to look at it can be that need for that return on investment coming from the organization can actually itself be one of the biggest hurdles to achieving your ROI. And what I really mean by that is that you need to put together a business case that's going to show some substantial ROI for your business. And to do that, you're typically looking to find all the possible improvements and returns that you're going to get from that. It leads to a business case and a promise and a plan to deliver a lot. And that in turn becomes a complex, difficult, long-run project to try to deliver it. The risk is that by the time you reach that delivery, the business has changed, the needs have changed. You don't necessarily see that ROI that you're expecting to get. So we're really championing that people are looking at really chunking it down and having iteration, finding smaller areas where you can make a quick improvement, get the return, start to get some benefit from that investment,
Mhm.
and then kind of reinvest that extra time saving, the extra dollar saving that you're getting into the next change, and have a positive spiral effect where you're building that benefit over time by taking it in smaller pieces as you go.
Yeah, and each win sort of serves as a springboard for sponsorship of executive sponsorship going forward. You can show that, and you can say, "Okay, I've done this. Now we can do this." And I imagine you develop a certain level of trust with executives when you can start showing those so-called small wins. Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
so yeah, but there's so many aspects. I mean, a warehouse to the layperson looks like a pretty simple operation, a big building with a lot of racks and product moving through it. But there are so many aspects to it today. Where do you optimize warehouse operations to deliver the greatest returns over time?
Yeah, they are big, as you say, big operations. It's I think you really need to focus on looking at your worker performance and areas where you can improve those. Yeah, labor's one of those ongoing challenges that we're seeing in the industry.
Mhm.
Availability and ability to keep the labor. So any way to maximize those is a really positive area to start. Looking at your processes and your space, and sort of planning out for your peak periods. Is easy in your average periods in the warehouse to be operating well, but the peak demands can really put an extra pressure on. So we'd be suggesting looking at that as another area of optimization, and look at the flow of your warehouse and your operations. You're trying to identify bottlenecks, not necessarily trying to eliminate them either, but to streamline them and have them more controlled, so that there's something that you can plan around
Mhm.
for your operation. So, but really the core benefits of warehouse systems of a WMS are still the same. They're giving you efficiency, accuracy, visibility, auditability, or traceability. So I would encourage people to look at those sort of key areas of benefit and work out which ones of those are going to give you the biggest benefit with the least effort, biggest bang for your buck,
Mhm.
and focus there first, and try to find a win there. And as it's coming back to what we said before, but then achieving that win, and then moving to the next one, and that gives you that flexibility as the business needs are changing, as the warehouse requirements are therefore changing. You're not locked into a long plan. You're getting those optimizations in smaller chunks over an extended period of time, adding them up as you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then getting back to how we started this conversation, the idea that we are in an age of constant disruption. How, if at all, can you so-called future-proof your warehouse against future disruptions?
Yeah, it's challenging because you don't know what those future disruptions are going to be. But
Sure.
look, a real key is having a solid foundation of your people and your processes and your systems that are supporting those, and making sure all of those things are becoming they're capable. They've got some flexibility, and you've got a mindset in the business of adopting that flexibility going forward. From a system perspective, you want something that's going to give you the core features that you need for today's benefit, for today's improvements, but something that you know has extra features, modules, maybe connectivity of the likes that you can turn on over time. So you can then you can meet today's needs, but know that you've got capability to explore more advanced solutions as you go.
Mhm.
We expect warehouses are going to be pushed into looking into other lines of businesses over time. The business itself will be changing. The warehouse needs therefore will. You can be looking to improve, looking at value-added services that you might be putting into the warehouse, looking for solutions that have got options to turn on extra material handling equipment, or robotics and autonomous warehousing is becoming more prevalent. But the case isn't always there day one. Again, that's a long run solution. So really, I guess the key is having a core capability in the business, including the systems as part of that, that give you the solutions for today, give you the options and the flexibility for tomorrow, and something that
Mhm.
can be adapted ongoing as you need to.
Yeah, and the mindset that accounts for this idea of constant change, that you're never surprised by the need to change. So you're always willing to do so. Well, that's great. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much,
wonderful.
Mike, for those insights into the challenges that warehouses face today in an era of constant disruption. But I'd like to take a minute to ask you a little bit about Microlistics specifically. Where do you guys fit into the picture these days?
Yeah, sure, thanks. So Microlistics, we're a WMS provider, so we have a cloud-based warehouse management solution that's really capable for many different markets. For retail, 3PL, omnichannel, the likes. It's a cloud-based technology which comes in with its own benefits as well. So we've made sure that we have a commercial model that aligns to those sort of approaches that we've been talking about of being able to deploy and iterate. So by going with a cloud-based solution, it's really allowing you to build the operating costs on a monthly basis rather than having a very substantial upfront investment. Again, it ties back to that return on investment by minimizing the upfront investment as you go. It also allows expansion and scalability. So by having a cloud-hosted WMS like Microlistics, it gives you that platform. It gives you the ability to turn things up as you go. You can start small and roll out within an operation, roll out through multiple facilities and the likes, without the need to manage all of that infrastructure and security and so on. Let the operation focus on being a fantastic logistics and warehouse operation. Let the technology specialists focus on delivering and providing access to a system is something that we're really passionate about helping our customers do, and giving them that flexibility to be able to turn it up with extra features, turn it up with extra capacity as they go through that iterative journey of rolling out solutions and ultimately helping their warehouses perform better.
Mike Weir of Microlistics, I want to thank you once again for spending time with me to talk about some of the challenges that warehouses face today, as well as a little bit about Microlistics itself. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Bob. Pleasure.